Well, joining us now on the line from Chicago is Stephen Lendman, writer and radio host. I'd like to hear his view as well on what's been happening in Tripoli. Stephen, if you can hear me, tell us how you are assessing the situation right now in Tripoli.
Oh, yes, I hear you very well, and I have very, very strong feelings about what's going on in Libya. May I say first that I know your reporter on the ground, Lizzie Phelan, and she is exceptional. She's right there, putting herself in harm's way, sending back as able heroic reports. I know conditions on the streets are very fast-moving, very fluid, very chaotic, very violent. I also know that anything reported by the major media, especially America's major media, some of it is so shocking, it is shameless, it's disgraceful, and it's deliberately falsified. It even gives propaganda a bad name. When they talk about a conflict like this Libya one, that is just an outrageous American-led imperial war for conquest, absolutely illegal, absolutely with no humanitarian concern for the Libyan people. Even the so-called rebels, well, they're not rebels, they're mercenaries. They have been hired. Most of them may not even know what in the devil they're doing. They were paid. They were brought in mostly from outside the country. They're probably being paid more than they ever got before. So, you know, you need a job, and you get a paycheck, and you were told, we want to liberate this country from bad people, and they go in and they do what they're told to do because they want to keep getting their paycheck. Let me say this about the so-called celebrations on the street in Tripoli. I absolutely discount them. There were polls taken, I think, days or a week or two ago. It showed across the country, including in the eastern part of the country, the Benghazi area, wherever they can conduct polls, which absolutely is not an easy thing to do in any country at war. So you can't vouch for the absolute accuracy of this. But the poll numbers showed, number one, the longer the NATO bombing went on, the higher approval rating Gaddafi got. And the last numbers I saw, and I put them in a recent article, 85% of the Libyan people approve of Gaddafi. Earlier, when Western media reported rebel mass celebrations in streets of cities like Zawiya, Misrata, others that were supposedly liberated by rebels, they never were liberated by rebels. These were lies. Gaddafi forces took cover while NATO was bombing. Some rebel elements moved in. Fake footage was shown on Western TV of large celebratory crowds, fireworks going off. These were lies. As soon as the bombing curtailed, Gaddafi forces moved back in. The rebels scattered, afraid that they would be slaughtered if they didn't do it. So Misrata was still in Gaddafi's hands. Brega still in government hands. Zawiya still in government hands, and who knows what's going on in Tripoli. I think very fluid, but I know the earlier, just days ago, supposed rebels mass celebrations, people celebrating en masse rebel victories in Misrata. There were massive crowds in Tripoli a few days ago. They were celebrating. They were celebrating government victories over the rebels. The vast majority of people in Tripoli, especially, detest the rebels. They hate them. All the major tribes in Libya detest the rebels, detest NATO. The idea that there will be a mass celebratory crowd in Tripoli now celebrating whatever is put across as a rebel victory, who knows what really is going on. I don't think there's been any victory. I think it's very chaotic and violent, so we have to wait to see how this plays out. That is absolutely impossible. There may be lots of people in the street, but they're certainly not supporting the rebels. Can I read you something from an email from Mahdi Nazemroya, who's there in Tripoli with Lizzie? Franklin Alam is also there. I quote all three of them in my article I put out this morning. But Mahdi's overnight email said this, quote, NATO landed insurgents in Tripoli harbor. They are attacking my hotel. I almost got shot. They're still lying a lot about claims of controlling the capital, but we are in danger. Mahdi also wanted me to say, if I can interrupt his comments, Mahdi also wanted me to say that any help anyone at Press TV can supply to get him, to get Franklin, to get Lizzie out of the city, they need whatever help they can get. As Lizzie said on air just moments ago, she is afraid to leave the hotel because she is a marked woman. So Mahdi is a marked man. Franklin is a marked man. NATO knows who they are, and they are targeted. There are snipers on rooftops. Who knows who's friend or foe? But Franklin was shot in the leg. I think he's okay. He was shot in the leg on Sunday, and Mahdi said that he was shot at, and he came very close to being hit. But he also said the rebels, armed guerrilla gangs, mercenaries, they're indistinguishable from Tripoli residents. They're waging street warfare. Oh, dear.
So what you're saying, Stephen, basically is we cannot say what is really happening in Libya, what the situation is looking like. There is a bigger picture that we must see on what the people are really thinking is happening to their country. I'd just like to introduce Mr. Maher Saloom, Ambassador for Peace, who's with us on the line from Beirut, and have his view on that as well, as we are seeing things develop quite rapidly now in Libya. Mr. Maher Saloom, if you can hear me, tell us if you agree with those comments that we're not seeing the bigger picture of what's happening in Libya yet.
Well, first let me hope that Mr. Franklin Lamb will be much better. I agree with my colleague on the phone. I don't know where he's from right now because I'm on the phone. I hope he's going to be much better and he's going to be safe, hopefully, and healthy very soon. Now, the whole situation, it was like, it reminds me of Saddam Hussein's Iraq. I mean, when they bombarded, but it's a mini-scale on Libya. I mean, the NATO alliance right now is celebrating, and the people in Libya, they are celebrating. But I do not believe that this is the true Libyan, nationalistic view. It could be, it's a bit of a percentage, allowing Gaddafi to have a certain popularity, but I do not believe with my colleague it's about 80%. To my own knowledge, it's a bit in Libya. They have been shown, a lot of support by the people, and even the Europeans and the Westerners, if they were, supporting them militarily, technically speaking, and even diplomatically and politically through the United Nations or any international bodies, let's say through the European Union or the Americans and other alliances, actually, such as the NATO. Now, the next week meeting that has been asked by the French Republic, actually, or the president himself, Sarkozy, is going to be in Paris, France, and they will discuss the future of Libya. I hope it's not going to be a new Libya like under the colonialism of Italy, back at the days before Muammar Gaddafi succeeded in his revolution in the late 60s. So I hope the real Libyans will be there in this new government or in any new presidency, and they have a new constitution that's going to be representing their own needs and their own interests, and not the Western's needs and interests, but their own nationalistic views, their own government, and they choose the right people for the right positions at their all levels, actually, of the Republic, of the new Libya, let's say.
Right, and as you were speaking, Mr. Saloom, we were seeing information coming in there on the screen of the international responses that are coming of the situation in Tripoli. We heard the UK Foreign Office Minister saying that the NATO airstrikes in Libya will continue for now. Stephen Lendman, tell us about the NATO role in all of this when you are saying that this is something that the Western governments have been trying to achieve. What has been NATO's role since those airstrikes started, and now it looks like that it is going to continue those strikes?
Well, let me be frank, at the position of a NATO alliance or the European Union and the Westerns, such as the...
Sorry, if I could just stop you there. The question was addressed to Stephen Lendman, and I'll come back to you.
I'm sorry?
Stephen, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a comment. This is a Washington-led effort. This is Obama's war. This is NATO's war. The main NATO partners are Cameron in the UK, Sarkozy in France, and of course Obama. They're the three main co-conspirators in this war. If the bombing stopped, the rebels would disintegrate and disappear. They wouldn't last maybe even